The world is waiting for a COVID-19 vaccine, but it could be a long time coming. In the meantime, the game changer would be an effective treatment. And let's not forget that for some people, this is a very nasty disease.
It's debilitating, and it's been described to me as you can take the worst flu you've ever had and ratchet that up 10 to 100-fold, and that gives you some idea what it's like.
Professor Jason Kovacic is a cardiologist and researcher still treating patients at New York's Mount Sinai Hospital, ground zero for COVID-19 in the US.
The virus appears to affect the cardiovascular system in a number of different ways. One of the main mechanisms appears to be through this cytokine storm, which is you can think of as the immune system being overactive, and that overactive immune system appears to cause myocarditis or inflammation of the heart muscle. It appears to cause the pumping function of the heart to be affected.
There are lots of old and new drugs being trialled, and the pressure is on to short-circuit the usual, quite slow drug approval process.
We have a lot of options that are currently under study for COVID-19, and these things are moving at an incredibly rapid pace. The part that's discouraging is this idea that we should throw science to the wind. If we do that, if we throw away the scientific method, we are going to be in the same position in several months from now as we are today, with uncertainty about what is best for a patient with COVID-19.
But this isn't helped when people in power push unproven therapies.
Hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine. What do you have to lose? I'll say it again. What do you have to lose? Take it. I really think they should take it, but it's their choice. I just hope that hydroxychloroquine wins.
Hydroxychloroquine is an anti-malaria medication that also dampens the immune system. What kills people with COVID-19 is an uncontrolled overreaction of the immune system that attacks the lungs and heart and other organs. So immune suppressants like hydroxychloroquine might help.
The data for hydroxychloroquine is mixed. And one of the challenges with using that is at the end of the day, hydroxychloroquine is a form of an immune suppressant. It's used to treat forms of lupus and forms of sarcoidosis. And so it's critical that if we're going to be suppressing elements of the immune response, we know what we're suppressing and the timing of when we're suppressing it.
And there's another serious issue with hydroxychloroquine. Here's what happens electrically in the heart when it beats. Each electrical wave has a letter, P, Q, R, S, and T. The distance between the Q wave and the T wave is critical for controlling how safely the heart beats. People with severe COVID-19 can have a long QT interval, which puts them at peril of fatal heart rhythms. Hydroxychloroquine makes the QT interval even longer. There's an enormous range of treatments being suggested for COVID-19, from hydroxychloroquine to blood pressure drugs to sheep dip. There are broadly three approaches to treatment. One is to dampen the life-threatening immune overreaction. The second is to try to strengthen our resistance to the virus. That's the sheep dip angle. The drug is called ivermectin. And the third is to find a drug which kills the virus or stops it multiplying. The front runner in that race is a drug made by the pharmaceutical company Gilead, which has made a fortune from its suite of antiviral drugs for HIV and hepatitis C. The COVID-19 candidate is called remdesivir.
It was an update on 53 patients who'd received remdesivir under what's known as compassionate use. Now that's for
basically prevents the virus making copies of its own genetic material, and as a result then the virus can't replicate, it can't then infect more human cells. It stops the replication of the virus.
This is the holy grail in antivirals, namely a drug that can treat more than one virus. However, when they tried remdesivir in Ebola, it didn't work. So why think of it for this novel coronavirus?
We know that it works, as I say, in the laboratory against other members of the same family of viruses as this coronavirus. And so we believe, especially in this time of a pandemic health crisis, that it's worth exploring whether it has activity against COVID-19.
Gilead is taking a more traditional approach to testing remdesivir by using randomized controlled trials in hospitalized patients who receive the medication intravenously.
So there are multiple studies ongoing. So we have two studies of our own. The China has had 2 studies ongoing since pretty much the start of their pandemic, and there are 2 other studies being run both in the US and Europe. And we're hopeful that we will have some initial data by the end of April.
The World Health Organization has launched a global crowdfunding effort to fund trials of hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir along with other medications. WHO hopes that this will accelerate findings which will tell whether these drugs work.
In the state of pandemic, we really have to hang on to our scientific principles of rigorous controlled clinical trials, and we can't abandon those scientific principles on the assumption that we don't have time to wait.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.